僕はスーパースターだと思ってなくて、やっぱり世界中に同じ年代にスーパースターがもちろん。
But it is Phelps of the United States, this 16-year-old heading for a gold medal.
I set my sight on the 2004 Olympics. The first step was 2001 Fukuoka World Championships.
You have Ian Thorpe, Michael Phelps, and they were young at that time, and they became very famous champion.
We didn't know anything about him then.
His first big success was in Fukuoka.
As it's Coughlin from the United States, he has a big lead. The Olympic gold medalist, Anthony Irving.
Tony is a sprinter. He's a different breed.
They screamed and cried. It was like Beatlemania.
Gold medal number 3 for Thorpe.
We spent our teenage years together, competing against each other.
Yes, he has. New world record.
It wasn't a matter of first or second, it was how much will we get to break a world record by?
Those swims were next level.
僕にとって大切な時期だったのかなというふうに思います。
I really saw that as my dress rehearsal for the Olympics.
There's no better welcoming party to the world.
Therefore, from the United States of America, Natalie Coughlin.
Natalie Coughlin doing something I struggle to do.
I am quite flexible still, not quite at that flexible. Look how this looks so dated. It's so funny. Hana Ito. Oh my God, she was in my entire career. Mai Nakamura, married to her coach. Yeah, I remember her.
Married to your coach. I know exactly.
Yeah.
It looked good. I was looking at it too. I'm like, this haircut I have now sucks. I need to bring back some of those even curls I had back then.
そんなに体が大きくない。
Yeah, I remember watching this in the stands.
When I walk out behind the blocks, I feel like I personally just let go of everything.
Like this is exactly how I remember, with the panel right there, and then we were seated like right above that back panel, that white panel, at the start blocks facing the water. My parents were like up to the right, and my grandma made these really cool USA kimonos that everyone was wearing. Oh my gosh.
Tomohiro, look at that. Not just in the brief. He's not even wearing a jammer.
Yeah, it's fun watching old races.
In 2001, I was at FINA Bureau. A good memory for me. New athletes like Ian Thorpe, Michael Phelps, and also from Ukraine.
And Yana Kochkova will go in with 10 meters to swim and make it gold medal number 2.
She won 400 freestyle and she won 400-meter medley. And of course, the city, beautiful. Every individual athlete enjoy the culture of the Japanese sport in aquatics and also the culture of the Fukuoka city.
I absolutely love Japan. It's just so different, and it's so big, and it's so bright, and there's tons of people, and it was really overwhelming at first.
If I could be a kid for a moment, I guess the bidets. I'd never seen one of those heated toilet seats. And as a 16-year-old kid, that was unbelievable.
I loved exploring Japan, and I enjoyed collecting little things at the malls. Like this mug, I was telling you, this mug is from Fukuoka, and it's my daily mug. Not just for today's interview. Like this is my coffee mug every morning. My kids don't know that's a special mug. They know they're not supposed to touch it.
あれその後パチャポは日水連のマスコットキャラクターになってるんで、国内の大会でメダル取ったらもらえたりしたんだけど、あの時のこの間実家に行ったらいたな。
For those of you who don't know, my mom always gives stuff from cities that we had been to or major moments throughout my career. She gives me little knickknacks.
The Japanese were so supportive to the World Championship.
20年後、ちょっとオリンピックがね、ずれ込んで、本来であれば20年後にもう一回福岡にカムバックして世界水泳が戻ってくるっていうのが少しまたね遅れちゃいましたけれども、当時応援しに来てくれた福岡2001年。
They show that they are really connected to the aquatic sport.
Their interpretation of ninja.
They develop now in water polo from an Asian level to a world standard level.
The popularity of the sport there was incredible. So there was this awesome atmosphere that was surrounding us. People were swimming really fast. We were relaxed because it was the year after the Olympics. So it was a really nice environment to compete in.
当時、僕も2000年のシドニーが終わって水泳界の中から注目されるような選手になっていく中で2001年福岡、2002年横浜と、国内で国際的な水泳の大会があるということでより多くの人に注目してもらえたようなそんな印象はもちろん受けています。
You know, it was funny because then I'd see him on TV and, you know, all this popularity that was starting to sort of permeate within the sport over there that you could see and how popular the Japanese team were.
もちろん2001年の世界水泳を日本のゴールデンタイムっていうのかな、初めて、水泳が大きく認知された大会になったと思いますし。
You know, hearing about the TV ratings, I think it was the first sport to outrate their baseball in 3 years at that point in time. There was a lot of popularity, a lot of interest in those world championships locally.
Our sport, it's diverse between the countries. I was happy to see that around 24 countries achieved medal.
Fukuoka was a great dress rehearsal for my ultimate goal of being an Olympic gold medalist.
If you look to the impact of changing from 4 to 2 years in Fukuoka 2001, I think the impact is very positive. You have Ian Thorpe, you have a new swimmer, Michael Phelps, and they were young at that time, and they became very famous champion.
We were all kind of babies. You know, Natalie and I came up and both kind of exploded onto the scene at the same time.
I knew Natalie only really by reputation.
He was my teammate in 01, and then he was my teammate in 2012.
I've been a bit of a wandering spirit my whole life.
Tony is a sprinter. He's a different breed.
He had this long break in between where he had this completely different life, and then he came back to swimming.
I mean, I was the bad boy of swimming now.
I didn't really hang out with the sprinters that often. I wished I was a sprinter, but didn't get to hang out with them that often.
I don't know if I could have kept going to Rio if it wasn't for Natalie. She was like the big sister I always needed.
Me, Thorpe, and Hackett, like I absolutely love those guys. We're all super close, still talk all the time. Hackett holds a special place in my heart.
We felt like we kind of had to stick together because we were going through this time in the sport and the attention, and we were only young teenagers.
We spent our teenage years growing up together, competing against each other.
We really appreciated what each other did training-wise. There was a real respect there because we both worked very, very hard, pushed each other.
But behind the scenes, it was kind of us just hanging out. It's being able to share some of this with someone else really is a treat. That doesn't often happen.
I remember it being in the stands because I was kind of one and done, swam one race, and got to go up and just watch those guys duke it out in the events that they duked it out in.
Thorpe and Hackett, the two Australians, the ones to beat in lanes 4 and 5.
We didn't really have a rivalry, but we did go and compete.
The friendship was first, but every time we got up on the blocks, it's like, I want to beat you, you want to beat me. We know that, like that's fine.
For me, it was just everything. I wanted to be in that spotlight, everybody staring at you in the pool, that moment, that feeling, and I got to watch him up close and personal in arguably one of Thorpe's probably best weeks.
Take your mark.
Every race that I was going into with Ian,
Final here.
it wasn't a matter of first or second. It was feeling like how much were we going to break a world record by and who was going to win.
Already we focus on Thorpe and Hackett.
Yeah, I remember watching this in the stands.
I think I led every single turn in that race.
So still it's Hackett holding him out through the 600-metre mark.
You can see Hackett's, different technique. He's already struggling a little bit on his stroke.
I was like, oh my God, this is so sick. This last 100's gonna be epic. But like, look at Thorpe's legs. Like he's cruising. I mean, Hackett looks like he's feeling it a little bit, but Thorpe just, to me, looks like he's just out for a stroll.
And so there's 100 meters to go, and I actually just turn it on.
Yep, there's the dolphin, and here comes the white water. Bye-bye. Sorry, Hackett. Sorry, buddy. And you still see, like, Hackett's still trying to go.
Thorpe starts to put the foot on the pedal.
But, like, look at Thorpe's tempo. It's still the same exact tempo, but he's just long. He's elongated his stroke and then added the kick to it. The underwater there, and here he's just on top of it. Bye-bye.
Down to the line goes Ian Thorpe. Gold medal number 3 for Thorpe. And a world record, he's broken 7:40.
He actually came home in the last 50 metres, I believe, faster than everybody did in the 100-metre freestyle, in an 800. And I came home faster than everybody else except for him in the 200-metre freestyle.
Hackett beaten again, and once again inside a world record, content with a silver.
And Hackey's the greatest long-distance swimmer on the planet, arguably ever.
What do I do? What do I do?
That was quite a bad finish from me as well, I have to say. Extended one stroke onto the wall just to finish on a full stroke.
You're not even breathing hard. Those guys raced against each other for years, right? Like every single nationals, every single event, they were against each other. It's kind of like Lockie and I kind of through our whole career. That longevity of swimming the same exact events, going toe to toe with each other.
In lane 5, Kosuke Kitajima from Japan just broke the championship record. And Japan record.
そもそもすごいオリンピックを終えて次の年に日本に世界水泳が来るっていうことにすごい興奮してたのを覚えてます。
It was the first time I had really experienced this massive venue on the world stage in front of a giant crowd with all of the hurdles that you have to jump through.
Grant Hackett.
You have to do so many things afterwards. Everything from medal presentation to drug testing to a media conference and
the ready room, post-race interviews, having the warm-up pool and the competition pool so far apart.
Cooling down, all those massage, all those sorts of things. So you get back quite late. But it felt like there was hundreds of Japanese fans waiting at the hotels.
It was the only time in my career that I really felt pop fame for a moment.
Good to see you.
Welcome to Fukuoka. Good to see you. How is your condition?
Pretty good actually, I'm very happy.
How was the training in Singapore?
Hot, but other than that it was good.
They were so crazy about swimming in the best way.
What do you wish to do in Fukuoka?
Swim well.
I remember walking out of the aquatic facility. There was just a crowd of Japanese fans, and when they saw me, they screamed and screamed and cried. It was like Beatlemania. And it lasted all of like the 10 seconds for me to like walk by and keep going.
They ended up taking the van we were in around the side, and as we were coming around the side, all these Japanese fans saw, Ian, and they just started bolting across the hotel foyer, and it felt like just a sea of people just coming through, and literally a whole heap of security guards had to hold each other's arms and create this wall either side of Ian and I going up the escalators.
It was the first time I think for swimming, the accomplishments of someone outside of their own nation are really recognized around the world.
国内ではやはり2001年のやっぱりヤン・ソープ選手の活躍が一つ日本の水泳マーケットを大きく作った印象を受けます。
I can remember, having to go into the exit of my hotel to get into it. My translator, who I always had with me, she's Japanese, and security weren't going to let her in, thinking she was just another screaming fan.
It's like you're a Beatle. Like his popularity was huge here in Australia throughout that period of his career, but in Japan it was like a level or two above that.
It was a complexity that I had to deal with. I can laugh at that time now. It can be a huge distraction in what you're trying to accomplish at that competition.
Chance starting for the United States. This is always something of a grudge match. The relays, in particularly the 4x100 metre freestyle.
One funny thing, well, I think it's funny, after the first night,
The United States' 30-year dominance was broken by Australia at the last Olympics.
That thing I'd always wanted, just being part of the team and rising to the top, denied again at Fukuoka.
Australia in front of the United States. Third place for Netherlands. Van den Hoogenband is finishing well for the Netherlands.
the Americans really got nailed the first night.
It'll be a goal for Australia and Ian Thorpe though.
The US team just happened to be on one of the buses with my face all over it. There was a few hundred in the city that were like that, promoting a Japanese product.
Championship record. And the man Thorpe has done it again. The United States down to the bronze medal position.
And it was just kind of salt in the wounds. So I think it's funny.
Whatever, we rise and fall together when you're a team.
The United States were disqualified and Germany a surprise bronze medalist.
But the fact remains, Mike, any success that was to be born by me in Fukuoka, it came in my individual races.
The champion Dutchman, Peter van den Hoogenband, the world record holder, the Olympic gold medalist in 1 and 200 metres freestyle. Ian Thorpe, 4 gold medals already. Can he make it number 5?
That's where all the talk was. Hoogenband versus Thorpe. They were having the big showdown. They thought it was a duel of two. They didn't see me coming out of the shadows. They knew that I belonged in a class with them.
Anthony Irvin, perhaps the sleeper in the pack.
No imposter syndrome. And I knew I had my crosshairs on.
And away they go. Flying start. Terrific start by Irvin up there.
I had to stand on my own this time, with the exception of the incredible coaches and staff that went to bat for me in the 100 free.
The leader is Irvin. Irvin of the United States with a terrific first 50.
He did such a fly and die. He went out super fast and faded, but he had clearly won.
But it is still Anthony Irvin of the United States. Can they catch him? Irvin starting to tire.
I was so tired. I was so tired. I couldn't believe it. But when I looked up at the scoreboard and I saw that I was
like second or third or something to Peter van den Hogenbaan.
Irving van den Hogenbaan. Van den Hogenbaan got there. Big finish.
I knew something was wrong. And then I looked up and I saw Coach Mike Bottom
running down to the deck, arguing like, no, Anthony won, Anthony won, Anthony won.
And I looked confused and he pointed at me, he's like, you did it, you won, you did it, you won. And I kind of just like turned around to like figure out what happened. And I see Peter van den Hogenbaan cheering, thinking that he was victorious over Ian Thorpe. Because he knew, I think he knew that he beat Ian Thorpe, he was right next to him. Then they showed the instant
replay on the big screen, and it was clear that Anthony had touched first. And I just remember Mike Bottom throwing his arms in the air and like walking off like he had won the race himself.
And then next to the names and the times, they changed my time and they put the one next to my name. And I remember raising both arms, and the crowd went crazy.
It was just chaos. It was pure chaos because there were technical malfunctions with the timing system left and right, and that was a very iconic race where it was clearly inaccurate. The video ended up proving that Anthony had won.
Such highs and lows. I mean, I consider that to be a little bit of swimming justice.
The timing system issue was nuts.
Australia win it, United States second.
I was on the 4x2 relay that we ended up getting disqualified for a false start that never happened. We had video evidence to prove there was no false start, but yet we still got that false start. We didn't get it overturned for like 8 months. It was the craziest thing because Australia had won, but then they jumped in the pool to celebrate.
As the Australian girls, jubilant with a gold medal, jump into the pool here at Marina Messe.
So they got disqualified, and then we got second, but we were disqualified. It was chaos. It was chaos. Yep.
She was a phenom as a high school swimmer, had a bad experience at Olympic trials in 2000, so I didn't really get to know her, but I knew she was coming to Berkeley. And so that next year, I saw her, but you know, she was a bit insulated. There was definitely like, we saw each other, but it wasn't until much later when I came back to the sport in 2010, 11, our relationship, our friendship really blossomed. She helped me so much.
Nat, obviously we came up together.
One of the first meetings that we had at that World Championships, the icebreaker meeting, going around the room and saying, you know, hi, my name's Natalie Coughlin, I'm swimming the 100 back and 100 free. I remember Michael standing up and being so like, aw shucks. I'm Michael Phelps, I'm swimming the 200 fly, and then like just like shyly sitting down. Like he was just such a kid. We were both kids, but he was really a kid.
It was really the chatter amongst the coaches that clued me into like, this guy's different. This guy is something special. And I saw it in some of the fear and in the other athletes' eyes.
I was aware of him. He was someone that I was, you know, watching his progression and what to expect in a few years to come.
World record holder, Michael Phelps.
If I go back to Federal Way, I mean, that was kind of really the breakout meet, right? Getting third behind Stephen Perry and Mouch. That race kind of catapulted me. I remember the first time I went to a nationals meet, I saw them passing me and I was like, oh, there's Dolan, there's Malchow, like there's Lenny, like seeing all of these guys you idolized growing up in the swimming world. And then bang, all of a sudden you're racing with them. you're in the same pool with them at the same exact time, swimming the same exact events.
I remember exploding onto this scene, making my first nationals and then my first final at nationals at 13. That was Fort Lauderdale, and I will never forget walking out onto the pool deck and the announcer saying, "And 13-year-old Natalie Coughlin," and I choked big time. But that was my real first exposure. I had the ultimate goal of making the Olympic team in 2000, which, as we all know, I didn't do. I ended up getting a really bad shoulder injury.
For me, making the Olympic team obviously became a reality. I remember hitting the wall and I was 7th, just raced my little heart out to the finish. Making the team was awesome, but I wanted to medal. Before my Olympic final, I decided to go up and wish Mao Chow good luck, which is something that I've never had done, and from that point forward, I never did again. It was just a nervous thing that I had to do, and it didn't work, so.
The Olympic gold medalist, Thomas Malchow.
Phelps was in there as a 15-year-old, didn't medal, was devastated by it. We're all kind of looking at him being like, you're just a kid.
I wanted a medal. I didn't want a piece of paper that said congratulations.
I probably thought I was wise and old as a 19-year-old. But looking at this small teen and being like, he's still just a kid. He hasn't even begun.
The day after my final swim in Sydney, Bob handed me a workout, and on the top it said WR. And I was like, all right, well, I guess we're gonna break the world record. It was kind of like, what is this? Like, why are you putting this on the paper? And he said, you're gonna break the world record in 6 months.
I immediately went to Cal, August 2000, so right after that Olympic trials. That was the fresh start that I needed. And those first several months at Cal, I just completely changed the way that I swam.
Typically, swimmers take, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks off, and then get back into the pool. Where for us, it was, let's get back into it and see where we can take this.
And by December of 2000, I was back at my best form and ready to rock for World Championship trials.
Sure enough, broke my very first world record, and 6 months later, some fun happened.
Gold for the United States.
I set my sights on the 2004 Olympics. The first step along the way was 2001 Fukuoka World Championships.
By that next summer in Fukuoka, everybody knew. And it was the beginning of the end for so many other swimmers that thought they had a chance of being on a national team and attending a World Championships.
That was my first chance to swim on the biggest stage. It was thrilling. It was really exciting, but nerve-wracking.
Another final coming up. The women's 100 meters backstroke.
It's weird what you remember in your career. I still swam with rings on my hands. And I remember playing with my rings off of both walls. Like, I don't know why I was doing that. And I remember thinking at the time, like, hey, I should be a little bit more focused on my race.
Natalie Coughlin from the United States of America.
You see me playing with my rings right there. That old school Speedo.
Take your marks.
She had a different frequency in the water to what other people do. And so it was unique to watch at that time.
It looked pretty smooth. I forget how slow my technique or my backstroke tempo was.
The thing that I appreciated about Natalie was her skills. All of the skills that she had, the underwater that she had, the way that she placed herself onto a wall on a turn. The technique.
Good turn. And I remember after the turn, being able to hear the crowd. And that was the first time in one of my races that, especially in backstroke, being able to hear the crowd is pretty remarkable because there's just so much going on. It was such a big crowd, and it was the biggest venue I'd ever competed in. Yeah, I like to hang out on that one side of the lane. It helped me. That's one of the ways I was able to stay straight.
Their skills and the things that people have picked up on, which Natalie was able to do then, that people still follow to this day.
This is when I was fading. I do remember being so close to this record and thinking that maybe
Coughlin wins it.
In that race I was able to break it, but I didn't. But yeah, I was pumped. Really pumped. Yeah, 0037. Yep, there's my family in the kimonos.
She came into this meet with a personal best in this 100 metres backstroke, but she's taken almost a full second off it.
I was really into food. I wanted to experience real sushi and go out. And I do remember hearing Ian Thorpe went out and he had fugu, the puffer fish that only master chefs could do. And I was like, oh man, that's crazy. Like that his coaches allowed him to go out and have this like really dangerous puffer fish.
I had blowfish for the first time. Japanese food for me was pretty normal. We have a dietitian on our team that's telling us what we need in recovery.
It's just like so silly now that when I look back at it.
Here comes a world record and gold medal number 4, Ian Thorpe of Australia.
I remember meeting Ian Thorpe at Fukuoka and he was larger than life. He had a great Sydney Olympics and so he was like this god.
Young Thorpe.
You would have thought he was a beetle or something.
You know, when you see Thorpe in that big, full black body Adidas suit that he was wearing back then, it was intimidating to see. I was in the warm down pool outside. There was nobody else out there. Like literally, I was the only person in the whole pool, the whole entire pool. He jumps in the lane with me. I was like, what the hell is this about? And I just remember feeling this like gigantic tidal wave. He just like slammed me into the lane line.
I didn't do it intentionally.
That for me was kind of cool.
Hackett in lane 4, Thorpe in 5. They are expected to dominate this race.
He changed freestyle in our time, you know, bringing the underwater dolphin kick, you know, having the kick and the stroke that he did. Thorpe is, you know, one of the greatest freestylers in the sport.
It's Thorpe in front. Fears looking very smooth in the water.
Yeah, this is when I started to play around with my 400 a little bit more. It probably was the best 400 I've done. I've swum faster than that. And it's a really frustrating swim for me. I didn't realize how fast I was going, and for me, it was almost a leisurely stroll is how it felt. Had I had any idea I was going as quickly as I was, I would have put a lot more into it.
The superstar, the young Australian, he's going to win this easily. There's the world record. He might even get there. Let's have a look. No, yes he has. New world record. It came from nowhere.
Those swims and those times he put up that week were next level. Being able to see that was truly special for a kid growing up in the sport.
I don't know how you surpass some of the things that these guys have done in the sport. Watching people even struggle to get anywhere near 340 for a 400 metre freestyle that Ian would just do left, right and centre, right, for years there.
Kosuke Kitajima from Japan.
It was a really special time in the sport, you know, watching Kitajima in the breaststroke and pushing the benchmarks and pushing all of us from Australia and the US as well.
5. Nihon, Kitajima Kosuke. Representing Japan.
僕はスーパースターだと思ってなくて、やっぱり世界中に同じ年代にスーパースターがもちろんマイケルがいて、まあ2001年だったらまさしくイアン・ソープ。
We didn't know anything about him then. You know, this little young up-and-coming kid. And
it was a big deal for Japan as well. They'd kind of been waiting for an international star.
やっぱりこう同じ年代のスーパースターたちがいてくれたことによって、やっぱ僕はすごいこうああいう風になれないなと思いながらも憧れを抱き続けたりとかできたっていうのはとてもその当時から幸せだったなと思ってます。
After that, I think the world knew a lot about him.
He's third minutes Biavanti as they start their run home, and it's still Moses in front. Hansen there in second place.
そうだね、全然最後の50ターンしてから。
The big finish, the man in the silver cap. Hansen starts to get himself in front.
いいレースだね。今からね。
Instead it's Hansen, still there. Here comes Potapagora. Hansen will win it though. Hansen of the United States. Potapagora got second, and Kitajima, a bronze medal for Japan.
嬉しそうやな、やっぱ。すげえ若いじゃん。俺もそうやけど。僕の200メートルのメダルに多くの人が驚いたと思う、あの時日本国内の人たちも含めて、自分が一番驚いたかもしれない。
His first big success was in Fukuoka.
日本、北島康介。
at his home. A lot of support from the spectator led him to get 3 in the world at that time, leading to Olympic champion to the world champion. This is a good story, the impact of hosting such an event of the World Aquatics.
Japan, a new world record.
Being able to see Kosuke throughout his career was special.
Kitajima,
He's probably top 5 toughest competitors in an event.
Kosuke Kitajima wins again.
He laid it on the line every single time. Pearsall is another one that did it just like that. Hackett, Thorpe, there were very few people like that.
There was a lot of great athletes there that were just stepping up big time and setting a new precedent in the sport. The most talented freestylers were probably Ian and Anthony. Those guys are just freaks. Technically, the speed that Irvine could turn on was just phenomenal.
And championship record holder, Anthony Irvine.
Apparently I'd had a good semifinal or prelim because I hold the competition record. Peter looks nice and relaxed right there, actually. Yeah, I was probably still a bit frustrated and angry about that relay. And anger and other emotions, if properly controlled, can actually lead you to greater heights.
Take your marks.
Far behind, you know, my start has never been great, but my reaction time always looked pretty good next to Hugenbon's because he did that double foot up front start. Scott, there, no time for breathing, no time for looking at any of your opponents. You keep everything focused in your own line. This is not a fight. It's just one lap. There's no need to look. There's no need to measure yourself against another. You measure against your best self and hold it all together. You get the result once it's all done. Yeah, the way I threw up that fist, I think it was almost like I expected that result, at least for the time. You never can know what other people are going to swim, so you can only look at your own time.
Hello and welcome to this beautiful evening in Abu Dhabi.
I didn't know him on the personal level. Like, we spent some time 20 years later where we got to know each other a little bit better because you're limited with how much time you get to spend with people outside of what you're doing.
Abu Dhabi 2021, it was still like a pandemic, World Championships. And I'm really meeting Ian Thorpe for the first time. Incredibly nice guy, has great stories to sit and talk with him, but his stories are not mine to tell.
I feel like Anthony's a good guy, so I can say this.
And there's a bit of levity as we await the starters in the 4x100 metres medley relay. The United States, the favourites in 4, Australia in 5.
In the 4x1, I think we're a little bit closer in times, but I did overswim him in the last part of the race.
We've seen him in the 100. Thorpe is not a specialist 100-metre swimmer, and he will struggle, but he has a huge finish. Let's watch this finish now. It's the United States in front, Australia second.
He had the biggest lead in the medley relay.
Third, it's Germany, then it's Russia. Has Thorpe got the speed to go with Irvine? I don't think so. Irvine is there. Here comes Thorpe. Here comes Thorpe now. He's almost up on level terms. He has a mighty finish.
I absolutely destroyed him by just out-touching him in that where we were behind by a lot.
The Americans in front. I think the Americans might get there. The Americans surely. No, Australia. Gold medal number 6 for Ian Thorpe. Australia win it. Huge finish by the Torpedo. Championship record. Oh my word.
I think at that competition was the first time Australia has actually exceeded the US on pretty much every count that you can have. So it was the first time that the USA hadn't held the #1 position in the world. And so that was significant for the entire team also.
My roommate was Michael Klim. And Michael, just before that, did an injury where he basically was playing basketball when he shouldn't have been because he's not good at anything else except for swimming. So he rolled his ankle, he chipped a massive piece of bone off his foot. And I can remember the day of the 4x2, right? He was not feeling well, like his foot was playing up. And I remember he was sweating so much in the room, and I so badly wanted to break the world record that night, and he's such a critical part of that team, was I actually got a sponge, and he was sweating so much, I just put it on his head. I was like tapping his head, I was like, you'll be fine, and I was like nursing him through it, thinking, oh my God, don't get sick of me now, please, I hope your ankle's all right, can you do something about that? Get the team doctor or whatever it might be. But, you know, our 4x2 was really close. So, you know, Ian, Bill Kirby, myself and Clemmy, we were all sort of sticking together. And when we walked out behind the blocks that night, and I remember looking either side of me and just seeing Thorpe in the form that he was in, Clemmy, who I know he could just bring a performance when he needed to, and just feeling like the empowerment of those guys around me and then stepping up to the blocks for my country.
In goes now Michael Quinn for Australia.
I led off in a personal best time and we ended up smashing the world record that day.
In goes Thorpe, in goes Australia, down goes the world record.
Oh, I would have done anything. I would have done anything to make sure that he swam quick. True to form, he got up and he split one of the best times that he split in the relay that night. So we were feeling pretty unstoppable at that stage.
You can't comprehend, and it's difficult for people outside of this country to realize the level of expectation that we have on swimmers, especially during my time there. Generally, you can count 50% of our Olympic gold medals come from swimming.
And Grant Hackett is 6 seconds under the world record pace.
And the 1500 metre freestyle, out of any Olympic sport that we have, is our #1 most gold medalled event. So it's very rich in history here in Australia.
Since about the 150 metre mark, it has been a controlled and dominant performance.
At this particular stage in the race, you know you've got it wrapped up. It's a matter of just trying to count down the laps.
As he'll go down to get the bell lap. Let's have a look.
And hearing that bell is like the sweetest sound ever, because you know the pain's about to end very, very soon. So you can see here, I just lift my legs. I could see a lot of flashes going off, so I knew I was swimming fast, and that's often a bit of a sign whether you're on world record pace or not, because it's attracting a bit more attention than probably some of the other events that you compete in.
He knows he's well under world record pace.
At this stage, your quads are burning, you're just trying to get your arms over and to pull yourself up and along, and then just lob onto that wall.
Take the gold medal, and he leaves the world record line a long, long way back. Look at the time.
So yeah, I take my goggles off and I sort of take a look for a second, and that's that look where I'm just trying to find, where do I go? And then I was like, oh my God. And the clock wasn't huge. I looked and I saw 14 minutes 34, and I just thought it was someone else turning down the other end. I was like, I can't see my time yet, you know? And so I actually took the time to look at, you know, lane 4, my name, and like go across the line slowly. And then I went, whoa, holy shit, I've gone 14 minutes 34. Yeah, you want to enjoy those moments because you work so hard for them, and they happen far and few between.
He has taken 7 seconds off Kieran Perkins' best time, and Kieran Perkins was regarded as the best of them all.
When I was 14, I watched Kieran Perkins go 14:41 at the Commonwealth Games in Victoria that year, and I watched that race, and I turned around and I said to my mum, I'm going to break that world record one day. And she said, I know you will. And it felt like she really meant it, like that support. It was really funny. So that for me was one of my first thoughts after that race, is like, yeah, Mum thought I could do it, and I did it by 7 seconds. So it was pretty cool.
And to get by that much is such a big surprise. I mean, going to racing, you know the process.
One of the big memories that I do have was Phelps breaking the 200 metre fly world record. A 200 metre butterfly, you have to have a lot of work, a lot of foundation, and sometimes it can take a lot of years to get to that level. The fact that he could do it at age 16, that was mind-blowing. It's like, oh, I've got Ian Thorpe, who's been the biggest freak in the sport in the last 50 years, and now I'm going to have the guy who's the next biggest freak for the next 50 years. There was something special, right, within the sport happening at those times. And some of these benchmarks I don't think will ever be replaced. And I don't say that lightly, because I always believe in breaking records, but for someone to win 8 gold medals and another single Olympic Games again, I just don't know how you do that.
Superman does it again. It's number 7 and a world record.
I think this is probably the first meet where Michael's kind of starting to show what's been spoken about for probably 3 years at this time.
Yeah, I could tell by stroke.
What's that?
I can tell by.
Yeah, I know your stroke, but yeah.
No, by all of them. I can tell by Takeshi's stroke. I can tell by Slantiev's stroke. Esposito's breathing. Mouch's bent ass arms. I don't understand how he did that. I mean, he could pull. He was an unbelievable puller. Oh, is that Nori? A little Nori? I got redemption on Nori. So I'm in 3. Yeah, I remember I popped out to this one, where before I guess I was kind of reserved a little bit the first 50 or 100, where here I think this is kind of the first time I really saw my speed, my easy speed. I'm just so controlled here. My tempo doesn't change at all the whole entire race. Super long, hit that wall good. But staying underwater, 10, 12 meters off the wall, on top of the water. You can see here, I'm really low to the water, so I'm really popping my hips and my legs. But I'm relaxed as can be. That's as comfortable as I could swim at that point. Chop. Chop. Not a great break, but now here again, watch Mouch really hammer this 50. He would crush his third 50 so hard, right? When he picks up his speed, he really crushes his legs and really gets those things going. And he turns ahead of me, I think, at this 150.
And it's Phelps who is leading them. The challenge is starting to come, though, from Esposito. Malchow still in second place.
Oh, no, I'm still a little bit ahead. I got him by a smidge now. But here, again, my tempo doesn't change. My tempo didn't change the whole entire race. Just, right, the same exact distance off the water, really low, breathing forward, he's not coming up. Really pop in, and then again, this is where the big guys go backwards.
Heading for a gold medal, Malchow, but it's all Phelps. Phelps wins the gold medal.
Yeah, this is where being young was definitely an advantage. I didn't get tired that fast. The older guys got tired.
Malchow took the silver, and the bronze medal will go to Polyakov of Russia.
There's hunger.
But he was dominant. This outstanding 16-year-old.
And Mouch puts my hand up in the air.
Record. Congratulations from Tom Malchow.
Thanks, kid.
He gave him a bit of a fright there at the last turn.
I think I had my eyebrows waxed there too. That was pretty good. Nice 16-year-old thing. My eyebrows are never that thin. But yeah, man, again, stroke for me was just so good there. I grabbed so much water. I wasn't climbing. When I say climbing, I mean going vertical. Everything was going forward.
Endurance is required.
Yeah, there you go. Even the announcer knows it. Endurance is required, especially in that race. Distance per stroke was really good. I mean, I bet if you go back and count those strokes, it's pretty similar to every single race that I've ever swam throughout my career. That one. Second of 39. Anytime we went 1-2, that just sparked so much in the team environment. Being able to do it with Mouch. Obviously somebody I looked up to throughout my journey to the top, and he was a big boulder that I had to swim around, and it was just special. That was my first international medal. There's no better welcoming party to the world.
I climbed several mountains throughout my swimming career, and I enjoyed that climb. Yeah, and then there maybe a suspension here and there too. Yeah, I will.
Biederman is going to beat Michael Phelps.
Ian Proctor, does he have enough for the world record? Yes!
The great moments were obviously unbelievable, right? 39 world records, yes, they were incredible. But I had some upsetting races.
Rocky takes the gold medal, Phelps takes the silver.
And those upsetting races were probably the turning point to really help me stay motivated and stay focused into reaching my lifetime goal of changing the sport.
Gold and a silver here at the World Championships.
I really saw that as my dress rehearsal for the Olympics. It went really successfully for me. It gave me a lot more confidence going into the next few years.
すぐ勝ったわけじゃなくて、きちんとそうやってステップアップしていくところを新しい水泳のファンであったりとか、新しく北島康介を知ってくれる、ね、世界中の人たちに知ってもらえたっていうのが、その時期すごい今考えるとすごい僕にとって大切な時期だったのかなというふうに思います。
Phelps world record 144. He's going to shatter it. The 19th of his career.
There's periods where you actually have athletes that really knock down the wall of what people think was possible. Then the rest of the world catches up.
I really enjoyed being a part of that wave of athletes that were doing things that people thought couldn't be done.
Orban won it.
It started with World Aquatics and going and doing the World Cups. I learned the world, the people that love this sport and keep it going for the athletes.
Water is our life. I'm looking forward for new athletes coming to the stage.
Marchand takes the gold medal.
It'll be cool going back into the same venue, where I won my first world championship 22 years ago.
A world record of 154.58 for 16-year-old Michael Phelps.
So I'm excited to see this summer what we have at Fukuoka version 2.
Summer McIntosh in a world junior record.
See how many world records fall this year.